Hello, and welcome back to Jenna Gets Creative. Today, we're doing ScrawlrBox. This is the June 2019 ScrawlrBox. That means it was mailed out in mid-June. We got it in July. They intend for us to work on it in July. So it's watercolor theme because July is watercolor month. Obviously you can hear there's nothing in this box. I've already opened it. It's watercolors. Let's go have fun. ScrawlrBox number 46, June 2019. This is watercolor month, so the focus is on watercolor. Our featured artist, beautiful print. The featured artist is Joanna Fye. You can pause at the part where I show it off and flip it over, read her information, and check out her Instagram. So I will read off of the info card, and then I will talk about the supplies, my impressions, the pieces I did. Yes, I did say pieces plural. I didn't like my first one, so I did a second one, but I will talk more about that in just a sec. Let's read the card. So, first off, the blurb at the top, it says, "It's the start of summer, and this month we want you to welcome in the season with some bright color washes. Use the supplies inside this box to add a little natural flourish to your artwork. Bring the outside in, or better yet, take these supplies outside and get inspiration directly from the lush greens and blooming colors appearing in the natural world around you." Scrawler tip. We haven't included a fine line pen this month, so instead, try using the color pencils to outline your work and add details to the watercolor. First up, they gave us the Daler Rowny AquaFine travel set. This handy pocket-sized watercolor travel set from Daler Rowny features 12 half pans of aquafine color and a travel brush. The palette offers 3 mixing sections on the lid and 2 reservoirs on either side of the half pans for water or further mixing. Aquafine colors are rich, free-flowing, transparent colors with excellent tinting strength and working properties that reliably produce beautiful, delicate washes. Made from a selection of modern, high-quality pigments milled to offer optimal performance and control, this is a great watercolor set for use at home or on the go. The suggested retail price in British pound sterling is £12.50. As per usual, I will have the supply list down below with the British price as well as the converted price to Canadian and American dollars. I compared it to my Winsor Newton Cotman Traveler 12-pan set because at first glance it is very similar. The Winsor Newton one has more greens and it has a white. This one gives us 4 browns, and that's a third of the palette. That's a lot of real estate in this palette. It does have the little mini paintbrush. It is a round size 4, and unlike the mini paintbrush that came in the Cotman, this is a one-piece brush. The brush in the Cotman, it's like the handle is in 2 pieces, and the end of the handle is a cap to put over the brush, and that means when you assemble it, it gets to be a bit longer than the case would otherwise allow. But mine is damaged. It won't go together, so I've never used it. So, plus for the Daler Rowny, the brush is in one piece. But overall, this palette does not win out over the Winsor Newton, if you ask me. The paints do activate very nicely. They're very soft, ready to go. You really don't have to wet them and let them sit. You can work with them straight away. But I found that they're a lot more like a gouache than a really good translucent watercolor. If you try to just pick it up straight off the pan with a wet brush, you're going to get very opaque pigment. You do really have to water it down and make a wash if you want any form of transparency. Unlike the Winsor Newton Cotmans, where you're going to get transparency unless you really, really build it up. I also found that it reactivates so well on the paper, even after it's dry. I was using my hairdryer in between layers to make sure it was really, really dry. it reactivates and mixes. It's hard to get any sort of fine details if you're going to do that in layers like I had planned to do with the first piece, which is why it didn't turn out to my liking. I'll talk more on that. Let's get through the rest of the card. We have 2 Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils. Polychromos color pencils are valued internationally by professional and amateur artists alike for their superior quality. The high-quality acid-free pigments offer excellent light fastness and have a soft, vibrant color laydown. They are oil-based as opposed to being wax-based like other pencils, which makes them water-resistant and smudge-proof. The high-quality standard of the Polychromos always shines through in your artwork. Suggested retail price is £1.95 each. So the 2 they gave us are 168 Earth Green Yellowish and shade 176 Van-Dyke Brown. This is a nice complement to the set, especially being that one of these is green and we only have 1 green in the paint palette. Kind of wish they'd given us maybe 2 greens or something completely different rather than a brown, considering a third of the paint palette is brown. Next up on the card, Staedtler Noris Erasable Colored Pencil. If you have ever tried to erase coloring pencil lines, you may have found it difficult, but this pencil has a specially formulated lead which makes this possible. Now you can make your initial sketches in something a little more subtle than a standard graphite pencil, and not have the lines show through in your final work. Keep your sketches light and use the eraser tip to lighten your lines or remove anything you don't need, and you should really enjoy using this pencil. Suggested retail price is 59 British cents. So this, yeah, it looks like a standard Staedtler pencil, other than the fact that the lead itself is red. So this is Staedtler's version, basically, of Prismacolor's col-erase pencils, and I did compare this directly with the col-erase red, and very comparable. It's a slightly lighter shade, and but yeah, it erases just as well as the col-erase, which is not completely. You're never going to get it completely off the page, so don't press too hard with it. But yeah, very good. I did do all of my sketching with this pencil in both pieces. I followed the rules. And of course we got a POSCA Ultrafine marker pen. The POSCA Ultrafine paint marker from Uni is a vibrant, super versatile water-based marker. Its highly pigmented ink is fade-proof and water-resistant. It's also permanent and bleed-proof on paper and card. The ultrafine nib of the white pen we have included is perfect for adding small highlights and little white details to your work to add those all-important finishing touches to your work. The versatility of the POSCA has made it internationally popular with the artistic community, and we know you will love it too. Suggested retail price is £3.20. And yes, I do love it. I've had some experience with acrylic markers at this point from various inclusions in subscription boxes, plus a set of Daler Rowny markers that I bought at Walmart. This is my first actual POSCA one, and it's the finest nibbed one I've ever seen. And I love it. I love it so much. I'm so glad to finally have it. And it's white, which is perfect. Because sometimes you want to put a white highlight on something, and you want something a little more permanent than a gel pen. And last but not least, the included paper. We have Langton Prestige Watercolor Paper 300 GSM. A superior quality watercolor paper manufactured using 100% cotton, the highest quality material for paper making. Made traditionally on a cylinder mold machine, the paper features a natural whiteness with a soft touch and distinctive texture. Acid-free with an alkali reserve to preserve finished pieces of work and protect against discoloration. They did not tell us a suggested retail price for that. As usual, these are A5 size pages because that's what fits best in ScrawlrBox's box. I did use both sheets because, again, I did 2 pieces. And I really like it. It's comparable in performance to B Paper Company's rag cotton watercolor paper, which I really love. And before I decide that I disliked the first piece enough to go ahead and do a second, I put this in my drawer on top of my B Paper Company paper, and I was thinking, like, I'm gonna have to use this soon before I forget that it's not B paper. The Scrawler challenge this month is Summer Flourish. So, yeah. At first, I'm like, okay, well, I'll take this quite literally and I'll do something floral, but I don't want to do something just floral. So, let me go see what's on Pixabay. Found a gorgeous photo of a couple of Frisian horses in a field, and zoomed in to reference one of them. So I have a Frisian cantering, and behind the Frisian I have some orchids because I love orchids. First I did a green to yellow gradient background. That worked out really well. Watering this paint down does really work well. It does washes nicely. The orchids kind of turned out like an underpainting. I really struggled to build up detail on them. And then the horse itself, like I said, I went into this thinking I was going to do a realistic horse, and so I was going to work in a lot of layers, and as I let it dry and as I went in again and tried to do more, and the dry layers would reactivate completely and mix, it really ended up being like working with cheap gouache. And it was not allowing me to add detail. It was not accepting different colors on top. It was just all blending together and making mud. So I embraced it. I made some really, really dark details with that Payne's Gray, and then I went in and added some unrealistic color highlights with the Faber-Castell pencils, and put a little bit of highlights in with that POSCA pen. You don't see it on camera because I did it after, but I ended up going back over with the brown pencil and kind of toning those down a bit on the horse so they aren't so in your face. But yeah, wasn't super happy with that, so I decided to make a second piece. So to start with, I masked off the border of my page, and then I broke out one of my big round color wheel mixing palettes, and I made washes of just about every color in the palette, and just had fun dipping the color into random spots on a wet page. Made this really really trippy, out there 70s hippie, very, very pink tie-dye kind of effect. And then I'm like, okay, what other way can I interpret the word flourish that's not just doing another flower on top of this? And knowing that it doesn't like a whole lot of layering, it's got to be simple. So I decided to do a butterfly. And as I was doing the butterfly, I'm like, hey, let's do some more galaxy type technique on it. And I'm like, hey, that looks pretty cool, and hey, I still have to use that POSCA pen. So I put some stars on them and did some like wishing stars and some like regular stars. The ones with the 8 points, that's what I'm calling the wishing stars, because that's what I've always called them, because of the star that Pinocchio makes a wish on in the Disney animated Pinocchio. Yeah, anyway. Random there. So I like the second piece a lot more. It still looks pretty illustrative. Obviously I wasn't going for realism with the second one, knowing how these behave. It's a nice practice travel set. I'll definitely hang on to this Daler Rowny watercolor set. It's not going to be my go-to for finished pieces in general. Maybe for underpaintings, but mostly this is going to be like a practice playing around set. And then once my daughter's old enough for big girl paints, this will go to her. So yeah, it'll get used. If you're new here, please do subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. I upload every Tuesday and Thursday at minimum. I have bonus videos quite often too. I had a bonus back on the weekend. I reviewed the Ohuhu brush markers, so go check that out if you haven't already. An art channel, as you can probably tell, but I also do crafts, tutorials, and related product reviews. And if you like this video, please do hit the like button and leave a comment down below. I really appreciate it. I read everybody's comment and I do reply. So if you want to hear from me, say something down below. Thanks so much for watching. In the comments down below, tell me, do you subscribe to ScrawlrBox or any other subscription box? Let me know what your experiences have been. Did you get this box in particular? What did you think of the Daler Rowny watercolor palette? What did you think of the erasable colored pencil from Staedtler? That's really cool. And if this was your first time working with Polychromos pencils, what did you think of those? They're, you know, one of my favorite things ever. I love them. And was this your first POSCA pen ever? Because it was my first POSCA pen ever, and I love it. I'm so excited. But, yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you again on Tuesday. Bye, guys.